I don't know about you, but I had a long day. Why, you ask? Because I spent my day watching closing arguments, both the prosecution and the defense, the prosecution's rebuttal in the Corey Richins case. Now, as long of a day that was for me, I think it was longer for Corey Richins. I think that was a tough day. And let's see, last I checked, which was probably about 45 minutes ago, the jury was still deliberating, and I don't know if they're going to go into the night or if they're going to reconvene in the morning. I know the judge said that he was going to check at about 4:30 their time, so that's in about half an hour from now. So long day for me, longer day for Ms. Richins, and I would like to talk about what what the arguments were, right? Because the last time we talked about this case, we had Josh Ritter on from Courtroom Confidential, and one of the things he told us was you just cannot predict what 12 people will do. So let's talk about it. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. Are we seeing what's happening here on the top of my head? I've got like one stray that's going to drive me nuts. Please hold. Let's see if we can get that. We're just going to have to deal with it. Look, which side is it on? It's on this side. People who are listening to this on the podcast, they're like, dude, Gavin, you're so vain. But it's obnoxious. A big giant gray hair it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. So grateful that you would join me wherever you're joining me from. And of course, as always, please tell me where you are joining me from. I love knowing what state you're in, what country you're in, what you had for breakfast, all the things. I'm interested in all of them. So please don't forget. Now, I started right before we started this live stream, I put up a little poll asking, did you watch the Corey Richins trial today? So far, it's 55% in the affirmative, 45% in the negative. And this is going to be good because I want today our live stream to be a conversation. Who wants to just hear me blah 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 for an hour? Maybe some of you do, but I really just I I don't know. I get sick of my own voice, man. Let's start off. Okay, first off, this is who we're talking about here. This is Eric Richins. Okay, Eric Richins was found deceased by police after 911 was called by his should be Sweetie Pie Snuggly Bear one and only Corey Richins. She told police that he had had a drink, had gone to bed. She had gone to bed in her son's room, and sometime in the middle of the night, around 3 o'clock, she decides to go back into bed with her husband. Finds him cold and heavy, and just things aren't right, and calls 911 and waits 6 minutes, stalls for 6 minutes to administer CPR. And it just, she was not acting Snuggly Bear nor Sweetie Pie nor one and only. That, let's just put it that way, right? This little happy picture of this couple, not a very good representation of how happy they actually were, I guess, is what I'm saying. Today was closing arguments. Today was closing arguments. That's poorly crafted sentence. Today we had closing arguments. Now, this is the way it works in the state of Utah. It happens this way in most places because the prosecution has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that, the charges, in this case, aggravated murder, they get to go first and make their presentation. And then the defense goes next. And the after the defense, the prosecution gets to rebut. Now, on the prosecution's behalf today, we had Brad Bloodworth giving the closing argument. For the defense, we had Wendy Lewis give the closing arguments. I have to say, I feel a little bit for Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis, and Mr. Ramos. Not because I think that they have an innocent client or anything, but because they just don't have a lot to work with. They just don't have a lot to work with. And in hindsight, probably a pretty good idea to not make a presentation in their defense, because I don't think they had much to defend. I really don't. Now, I think they were gambling a little bit, that Mr. Bloodworth and Ms. How do we say her name? Truvanak did not make their case, but I think they made their case. I think they made their case beyond a reasonable doubt. I should have up, and I hope that you guys, maybe Emmy can do this because she seems to be on things. I'm just going to have a tab up just to look to see if there's any updates, as we go along. All right. Now, I have taken notes. I took copious notes today, as my high school photo teacher would tell me to do. Don't forget the copious notes, Gavin. I did get in trouble one time. Have I told you guys this story already? This is definitely a tangent. Let's do it. Yes, this totally is a tangent, but Wanda, I am going to be going back in time here, so if you can give me a little bit of the, oh, that's nice. Yes. So, I got the privilege of starting my photographic journey in high school my freshman year instead of my sophomore year. Normally, Mr. T did not allow freshmen, but I was the younger brother of one of his good students, and he let me be a freshman in photo. And I thought that I could cheat by just having my brother's notes that he had taken copiously. But Mr. Thorner saw that I was a horse a playing. I was, well, that would be a little coarse. My wife wouldn't like that word. I was horse playing. I was engaged in shenanigans when I should have been reading and taking notes. And he came to me and was like, Gavin, let's see those notes, buddy. And I was like, don't worry about it, Mr. T. I got it, man. I got it. It didn't go over well. So I am a copious note taker. I took notes and then I spent some time turning them into a summary, which we will go over. But I think the best place to start. Before we really get started, let's bring up Eric's picture again. Let's see where you guys are checking in from. I'm kind of ahead of myself here. 60% say you watched the trial today. So we should have I should be hearing from a lot of you. I'm Goddess 1950 says, hi there from snowy blowy Erie, PA. Yes, I am also. You are in the north of Northwest Pennsylvania, but I am also in Northwest Pennsylvania. And over the last 4 days, we have experienced spring. Well, I would call it fake spring, mud, fake spring again, and now winter. It's totally snowing where I am too. New Jersey is in the house. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, only 8 for this one. That's right. It's only 8. Yeah, I guess it must be a Utah thing. Very interesting. The Sunshine State, Florida, is in the house. UK is here. Alexandra, welcome here. The Too Humid State is here. Very nice. Kansas is representing. Who else do we have in here? We've got San Jose in the house. Emmy, and Emmy's wondering why I'm speaking Spanish. That's just another tangent. We don't need to go on another tangent. It's been a Spanish day for me today. Texas is here. Bucks County, PA is here. Roanoke, Virginia is here. Monday, Magic Monday from the shipwreck capital of the Atlantic island of Bermuda. Love having Bermuda in the house. Michigan is here. What else do we have? Tina May says, I hope the people bring justice to Eric's family. I agree. Hello from the place with the world's largest knitting needle. Very nice. We got Norway in the house. Very good. We got North Carolina, couple North Carolinians here. So glad you're here. Thank you very much. Uh yeah, Emmy, what did I somebody remind me what I asked if Emmy could do something. Dang it. Nah, I've already forgotten. It's all right. It's all right, Emmy. We'll figure it out. Okie dokie. Let's bring you over to this write up from Court TV, written by Lauren Silver. Prosecutors paint Corey Richins as, quote, Black Widow in closing argument. I thought that was a good touch from Mr. Bloodworth. Dateline, Park City, Utah. By the way, I wondered why this was being held in Park City instead of Colville, which is the county seat and where the county courthouse is, but apparently there's a district court in Park City. Prosecutors described Corey Richins as, quote, intensely ambitious, close quote, and focused on creating the perfect life with her lover as they delivered closing arguments in her murder trial on Monday. I thought that was a very good characterization. She was not acting the widow, she was acting the Black Widow. Oh, that was very well done by Mr. Bloodworth. Now, the thing that I really liked about his characterization of Corey Richins wasn't that she wanted the perfect life. It's that she wanted the appearance of a perfect life. He talked about how the way she grew up and how she just needed the facade. She'd put herself almost $8 million in debt, but she's driving around in a fancy car. She's living in a fancy house. She's closing on all these deals, losing money on each and every one of them. But the facade was important. Okay, continuing from Lauren's writing, Corey Richins, 35, is charged with murder and financial crimes in the death of her husband, Eric Richins, who died from a lethal dose of fentanyl in 2022. Corey Richins has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Quote, she wanted the perfect life, or at least the appearance of a perfect life, prosecutor Brad Bloodworth told the jury in his closing argument. That life, Bloodworth said, included living in a Midway mansion with her lover Josh Grossman. And for that to happen, Bloodworth said, quote, Eric had to die. Let me just give you, now, I don't want you to think that I have my finger on the pulse of Summit and Wasatch counties in Utah. It's been years and years and years since I lived there. But you guys know that this is Wasatch County, which is where Heber City and where Midway is where my parents grew up. And then Summit County is where my grandparents grew up. And so, my mom's parents. So Summit County is my mom's side of the family, and Wasatch County has always kind of been my dad's side of the family for me. Midway, well, I described this on Josh Ritter's show. I think I probably described it here, but what happened in this little area of the Uintas in Utah over the last 20 years is fascinating from a socioeconomic area or perspective. Okay. Not so long ago, and I would say 50 years ago, Park City was a mining town. And I remember when the first like nice golf course got installed in there. I was a little kid. It's called Jeremy Ranch. I remember my dad got comped a weekend condo at Jeremy Ranch, and it was just a very, very nice place. It was up and coming. But 50 years ago, Park City was still, while there were ski lifts, because best snow on earth, right? But while there were ski lifts, it still was kind of a mining town. When Jackson Hole kind of went, well, first when Aspen filled up, and then when Jackson Hole filled up, Park City became the next big thing. And it just filled with rich people and celebrities, and it became like this it place. The values in real estate skyrocketed, and then that started to, as Park City, which is kind of built right on the hill, well, it's a mountain, right on the Rocky Mountains, kind of going up, as that started to fill up with celebrities and more ski resorts and destination venues and that sort of stuff. There wasn't any more place to build in Park City without spending tons and tons of money. So that it kind of washed down the mountain into places like Colville, Wanship, Peoa, Oakley, Marion, Camas, Francis, Heber, and Midway, and all the towns surrounding that whole area, right? So Midway, which was kind of kind of fancied itself kind of with roots in the Swedish colonies from the early Swedish Mormon settlers. It was this just picturesque little place. It became a place that was that I mean is kind of like Park City, right? It became very, very expensive in comparison to the way it was. So this idea of owning a 10,000, 12,000 square foot house in Midway, Utah, that it for somebody who cares about the facade, that is, yeah, you would want that. Now I kind of sympathize. Well, not I kind of empathize with Corey Richens on this, if I can be brutally honest about myself, right? And I should be. When I was a kid, my family were borderline poor, moving up into the middle class. By the time we moved to California, I think we were solidly middle class. We were still renting for those first few years. Mom and dad bought a house in a nice neighborhood in a nice place. And we were solidly a middle class, but I always dreamed of something more. In fact, all of the girls that I chased, all uh, were daughters of doctors and dentists and lawyers and those sorts of things, right? The people that uh, or entrepreneurs, people that had the bigger homes, and I just dreamed and dreamed and dreamed. So I kind of get the Corey Richens thing, right? I kind of get it. Oh, she's ambitious. She wants the good life. The difference, of course, well, actually, there are other parallels between, and I don't want to make this about me, but it goes to her motive, right? It goes to her motive. It's super important. There was a time in my life when the facade was the most important thing, and Kimberly and I went through this thing where we were flipping houses like crazy in Northern California, thinking that we were good at something, when the reality was it was just you had to be an idiot not to be able to do it. And earning money easily by flipping houses became an addiction, and it ultimately did not turn out well for us either, right? But so I empathize with Corey Richens wanting this better life, right? Having been raised, I think I'm trying to remember, and I'm really kind of going on a tangent here, but let me look at my uh, try. Did I not put it in my notes? I guess not. Um, yeah, the prosecution said something about her dad leaving, her mom being a gambling addict. It's like that certainly wasn't true with me, but maybe that goes to like, oh, she just wants a much better life. Now, she could have had it. She could have had it without doing all that other crap, because Eric was making bank, man. That guy brought in $500,000 the year leading up to when he died. That is not chump change. That is a very good living. $500,000 in a year is such a good living. Had Corey just been content with raising her kiddos, uh, you know, having a happy family, she could have had the good life, but it wasn't good enough for her. It wasn't good enough for her. And I really hope that you guys can give me your thoughts on why did she do this? There's something broken in her, right? But anyway, getting back to Lauren's report. Um, okay. Quote, she wanted the perfect life, at least the appearance of the perfect life, yada, yada. Eric had to die. Prosecutors have told the jury that Corey Richens bought fentanyl from her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber. Once again, this is an indication that she was living a pretty darn good life. How many of us have housekeepers? I certainly don't. I mean, this is something that that you have if you're doing well, right? So prosecutors told the jury that Corey Richins bought fentanyl from her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, and added it to 2 cocktails she gave her husband to drink on the evening he died. In an orange notebook found next to her bed, Corey Richins had written, quote, Moscow Mule and a lemon drop shot, and that is consistent with all the toxicology, Bloodworth said. Continuing the quote, it's interesting that Corey Richins wrote vodka rum in the notebook. The evidence may show that the Moscow Mule she made was ginger beer and fentanyl. The lemon drop may be lemon and fentanyl. Bloodworth played Corey Richins' 911 call for the jury during his closing argument, pairing the call with a timer that counted how long it took before CPR began, or I think purportedly began, right? Quote, the first minute is the sound of a wife becoming a black widow, he told the jury. Listen to how Corey Richins on the 911 call immediately presents her alibi narrative. And we have seen this before, have we not? The glaring example to me is this case, right? Sam Goldberg, he calls 911 and he immediately is like, I was down in the gym. I came back, right? He's setting up an alibi, in my opinion. I mean, that's what the evidence shows to me anyway. And the prosecution in Corey Richins were saying the same thing, right? She is presenting her alibi narrative. Listen to how Corey Richins on the 911 call immediately presents her alibi narrative. Listen to how she tells the dispatcher where she was when Eric died. She is distancing herself, close quote. Corey Richins' defense attorney, Kathy Nestor, took issue with Bloodworth's statements, specifically the reference to Black Widow. Corey's face was amazing during this moment. He's like, what? It was so funny. And references Bloodworth made to the defendant's demeanor, she moved for a mistrial at the conclusion of the prosecution's closing argument. Judge Richard Mrazek agreed to give the jury a curative instruction telling it to disregard any statements from attorneys regarding the defendant's demeanor. During the closing argument, during this time, Mr. Bloodworth was saying, you could see her demeanor when, I keep hitting the mic. Sorry, guys. You could see her demeanor when the 911 call was played versus the demeanor when so-and-so testified about her finances, right? The facade is the most important thing to her. And there was an objection, and Judge Mrazek was like, overruled, sit down. Right? But after the jury was gone, they definitely talked that one over. Okay. After Eric Richins' death, Corey Richins recorded herself calling the medical examiner's office to discuss the case. Again, trying to create a narrative, I think. When she was told the toxicology report showed, quetiapine, an antipsychotic medication, was in the victim's bloodstream, Corey Richins asked what that was. Quote, she pretends not to know what quetiapine is, or I can't remember how they pronounce that, Bloodworth said. It's her prescription. Of course she knows what it is. She pretends to not know what it is to cover up her involvement putting quetiapine inside Eric's body. Close quote. Quetiapine, which has a brand name of Seroquel, was prescribed to Corey Richins at the time of her husband's death. While Bloodworth spoke, Corey Richins was visible in court, sighing and rolling her eyes. I was watching on KSL's stream, KSL being the Salt Lake major news organization. And they were showing Corey Richins. They were showing the Richens family, Eric's dad and sister and so forth. I was so glad that they were cutting away to those shots, right, to see the reactions in court. But yeah, Corey was sighing. She was rolling her eyes. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you thought about Corey Richens during the program. Wendy Lewis delivered closing arguments for the defense. This is Ms. Lewis. I felt bad for Ms. Lewis. I just felt like she didn't have a lot to go on that one. I do love the jacket in that. Look at that. That's a cool jacket, but I felt for her. She delivered closing arguments for the defense. She argued that prosecutors failed to present any direct evidence that Corey Richens killed her husband and instead asked the jury to leap to conclusions about what happened. Now, here it to me is a truth that lies. And these are really important, guys. You will notice this in debates. You'll notice this in arguments where a truth can be told, but it either misleads or it lies, right? Yeah, her argument that prosecutors failed to present any direct evidence that Corey Richens killed her husband is true. There is no direct evidence showing that Corey Richens killed Eric Richens. What there is a mountain as high as the Rockies are above the Salt Lake Valley of circumstantial evidence that just piles and piles and piles. So any conclusion leap that the prosecution would be asking the jury to take are millimeters. They're not leaps. They're not even inches. They do have to draw conclusions, but they are the judge of the facts, right? That is their job. They have to come to conclusions. So, I felt for her. She just doesn't have very much to go on here, but let's continue. Quote, the state looks at facts one way and sees a witch, Lewis said. But if you look at those facts another way, you see a widow. Lewis described the police investigation as sloppy, accusing officers of being biased in their investigation. She also attacked, Gavin. Okay. She also attacked Lauber's testimony, describing her as having an intellectual disability that made her easily influenced by investigators. I thought that was actually a pretty effective argument. And remember, these jurors have to be unanimous. I'm going to just check in real quick to see if anything has come back in the news. Give me just a second. No, not anything in the last hour. I'm going to keep my eye on it, though, okay? Okay. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good argument, though I think that the evidence, while circumstantial, the mountain of evidence can get a jury past that. Okay. Corey Richens' defense also renewed their suggestion that Eric Richens was unfaithful in their marriage. Lewis referenced a text message exchange between Eric Richens and his male best friend talking about an open relationship. When questioned about the conversation, a private investigator insisted it was a joke. Prosecutors presented 13 days of testimony and evidence against Corey Richens. The defense rested its case without calling any witnesses. If she's convicted of the top charge of aggravated murder, Corey Richens faces a potential life sentence. Now, let's bring up our victim here and head on over to your quiatapine, says Robin. Quiatapine is how that's pronounced. Wow, that very well written out so that I could understand it. Thank you, Robin. Let me get this all refreshified. It was about notes. Dang it. I sometimes just move too quick. Jules and Me says, very popular in North Carolina. Yeah, there are at least 3 people from North Carolina. One from Savannah, Georgia. Glad you are here. Let me scroll on down. Quai like why? Quietapine. Quietapine. Quai like why? You guys, I need more comments, okay? Put GF in the comments. But tell me what you think about how Corey Richins was behaving today. I thought it was almost, it was like borderline defiant the way that she was going. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Quietapine. Quietapine. Carolina Thrakel. Okay. Hope Lewis retires after this case. She is so stubborn. Oh yeah, she was smirking too about the rebuttal walk the dog letter. Oh, guys, the rebuttal was brilliant. I thought that it was very well done by Mr. Bloodworth. He brought up slides. He actually said, "Judge, if I can have 15 minutes, I'll save us 30." And we took a little time off, and then he came back and had a whole bunch of stuff. The walk the dog letter in his rebuttal. What he did, if you guys didn't see this, is he highlighted little sentences of it, gave the jury long enough to read what the sentence was, and then he interpreted what that meant. It was so good. It was so good. Robin says we don't like her attitude. Tina thinks that maybe she was medicated today. Let's see. Diane Ferris saying if she was taking an antipsychotic, if she was taking Seroquel, she had mental health issues. It's a pretty strong drug. Yeah, Seroquel. I'm trying to remember which case was that. That may have been. Man, now I can't remember. But Seroquel has come up in a couple of cases that we've covered. Tiana says she kind of reminds me of Casey Anthony. What I hope is that, to me, she looks like she's always got a I don't get it look on her face with her eyebrows up and her wrinkly forehead up here. I don't get it. That's the way she sounds like to me, or the way she looks like to me. Just Ducky, she sat there like everything was a lie. Well, honey, you should have took the stand and said your piece. Very good. Very good. Joanne says, I wouldn't be acting so flippant. Okay, hold on. Now we've got a quetiapine. Guys, quetiapine. Was I saying quetiapine or something? Quetiapine. Okay. Let's see. Judy Ashley says, I'm amazed I got to keep up with the whole trial while working. I hope I get to see a verdict in real time. Pamela says it's obvious why she was on Seroquel, in my opinion. Let's see. His discovery so smooth. His delivery so smooth. Justice for Eric and his family. Corey is guilty, says Sunny. And she looks harsh and not very feminine. Patty says her face and attitude make my blood boil. Okay, they are. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Robin says she made a mistake. This simply doesn't happen, Robin. This simply doesn't happen. But thank you. And Tiana says that Hitler hairdo is making me ill. Oh, Tiana, you get the award for comment of the day. I don't have like a very good piece of music. You know what? We'll get a transition music. We're going to celebrate Tiana's comment of the day by listening to a little jazzy music. Here we go. Oh, Tiana, this is for you. Wanda. Wanda has 6 arms. She's amazing. That's good stuff. The Hitler hairdo is making me ill. So funny, Tiana. That was a great comment. Okay. It's 6:37 already. Let me just check in real quick just to see where we are, see if anything has come in. It's a few minutes past when the judge would have. I think they're probably going to go into tomorrow. The jurors supposedly are, well, not supposedly, the jurors are back and deliberating. They get to choose how they do it. So we will, I think we're probably going to have to wait until tomorrow to, at the earliest, for any kind of verdict. So that is our report on Corey today. Let me just check my notes real quick, see if there's anything else. Yeah, prosecutors pointed out she closed on the Midway property the day after Eric's death, suggesting she waited until he was dead to finalize it. The other signatories had signed until he was dead. Let's see. They claimed the pills obtained through Carmen Lauber contained fentanyl. The defense did focus heavily on the concept of reasonable doubt, and that was something that that's something that in his rebuttal he's like, it was actually a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment. He showed a slide saying, basically what's happening here is defense's counsel is trying to make you think that all doubt is reasonable. But you can draw your own conclusions. And then he shows a photo of like a hippopotamus, and behind it is like the sludge of its defecation shot out onto a wall. And in that area is a clean spot in the shape of a person. And he goes, "Can you tell what happened here?" I thought that was really, really good. Let's see. Lewis argued every piece of evidence presented by the state has another reasonable explanation. She suggested that Eric's death could have been accidental or unrelated to anything Richens did. And you know what? It could have been, but it was it? I don't think so. Let's see. The defense argued the investigation was driven by confirmation bias, that investigators claimed that Corey Richens was guilty early and searched for evidence to support that theory. In the rebuttal, Mr. Bloodworth defended the credibility of Carmen Lauber, pointed to digital evidence that corroborated her account. It's like, so even if she was lying on this other stuff, the part that matters is corroborated through all of this evidence, right? So yeah, I think I covered pretty much everything there. We will have to wait until at least tomorrow to find out what will happen in the case. And while we think about that, maybe we think about 3 questions, shall we?
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Ta-da. Okay, guys, in the 3 questions segment, I know this is shocking to you. I answer 3 questions. They are questions sent in by you to an email address that I have set up for just such a I've set it up for this segment. Yeah, there we go, Gavin. Spit it out. 3 questions at gavinfish.com. 3 questions at gavinfish.com. It's spelled out THREE. Questions at gavinfish.com. You can send in the questions. I solemnly swear to you that I will answer all of your questions, just not in the order I receive them. I just answer them in the order that is fun to me. And I do them 3 at a time. But send in as many as you want. You can send in 1, you can send in 100. I don't care. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, question number one, sent in to us by Sharon. I think this was sent in either this morning or yesterday. I thought it was a good question. I thought it'd be fun, and I thought it'd be fun to get your take on this in the comment section. The question from Sharon is: would you ever buy a house knowing that, dun dun dun, a murder took place there? Would you? Tell me what you think. Would I? Yeah. Who cares? Yeah. I I have no problem occupying, owning, transitioning through whatever, any real estate where nefarious things happened in the past. I have no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. The Idaho 4 residents, yeah, I'd buy it. No, the caveat that I would give you is I wouldn't buy it because a murder took place there. There are people that like that stuff, and I'm not one of those people. I wouldn't buy it because you know, the Idaho 4 were massacred here. Here, you can come and stay in the Idaho 4 massacre house. Ah, it's gross. That is gross. That is not me. But buying a house where a murder took place? Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Tell me what you think. Question number 2 from Barb. Would you take your family to Disney World or to see the Great Wall of China? Well, Barb, having traveled about this great planet of ours quite extensively, I happen to know that the Great Wall of China is basically a reconstructed Disneyland facade. Like it was a real thing, but the places that you go to, that tours take you to, it's not the original wall. They have rebuilt it. It's like going to Boot Hill in Tombstone, right? Yes, there was a Boot Hill in Tombstone. Was this the Boot Hill of Tombstone? Somehow I doubt it, right? So the Great Wall of China. Now, I would love to see the Great Wall in the non-touristy parts of places. But that's not the question, Gavin. That's not the question. Would you take your family to Disney World or to the Great Wall of China? Disney World. And I'm not even really a Disney fan. I've been to Disneyland 3 times in my life. One as a child, one as a teenager, and one with children. And speaking of which, our 2 youngest haven't been to either Disneyland or Disney World. And it's getting to the point where we got to make this happen. So I'm going to answer Disney World. But if I had my druthers, I would much rather take my children not to a theme park or to a tourist trap, but to someplace meaningful and convalescing. We have a tradition in our family that when the children turn 14, they can go on a business trip with me. So our oldest, I took her to Germany and Austria. Our oldest son, I took to England, France, Germany, and Austria, I think. And then number 3 came with me to England and France. And, we did different things, but we did meaningful things while we were there. Mostly it's about just spending time with your kiddo, right? But doing things that are meaningful. Like for example, our oldest, she loves the musical theater, so we had to go see Villa Trap in Salzburg, right? But then while we were there, I wanted her to see what the world is all about and how ugly sometimes people can be. So I took her to Dachau. Those kinds of things. Our third, our second child, he went to Dachau and didn't last 10 minutes. He's like, "Can we please leave?" And that was enough for me. Like, yes, we can. If you understand what happened here, then we can go. I want you to see it. But one of the things that we did that was really fun is we climbed the Eiffel Tower together. Instead of taking the elevators, we took the steps all the way up till there were no more steps. Then we took the elevator to the very top. And then with number 3, I took her on a long walk along the Seine in Paris. We started at Gare du Nord, went to Notre Dame, then down to the Louvre, then to the Eiffel Tower, then to grab pizza at my favorite pizza place there in Paris. So yeah, I would much rather do less touristy things, though I know the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre are touristy things, but I'd much rather do less touristy things with my kids. But I think I will probably take them to Disneyland or Disney World before they get too much older. Question number 3, and I would love to hear your answers to that. Kelly asks, how did you end up in rural Pennsylvania from California/Utah? Well, Kelly, it was purposeful. My wife and I came to a point in our lives where we did not have to be in California. Our family was all there. Her parents, my parents, brothers and sisters, so many, especially on her side of the family, still there. But we didn't have to be there because my business, my clients were all over the world. None of them actually. Well, no, only one of them in California, but most of them were overseas. So we thought, well, what if we went east to make it easier to hop over to Europe, where most of my clients were, and so we decided east of the Mississippi, and then we started looking at things that were important to us. If memory serves, we had 26 things that were important to us. We put them all in a spreadsheet, did a bunch of research on the different states of the Union, automatically disqualified anything west of the Mississippi, disqualified any place that I just didn't want to live in Florida, man. I just did not want to live in Florida, and I definitely didn't want to live in Texas. Well, Texas didn't really matter anyway, but I didn't want to live where it was super hot. Rural Pennsylvania, we came here and checked it out and fell in love with it. And so this is where we decided to plant some roots. Now, will we be here forever? Probably not. Probably not. We love it here. But moss groweth not on a rolling stone. However, that is said, moss does not grow on stones that are. I can't remember that phrase, but yeah, no moss grows on a rolling stone. Is that anyway? Yeah, it's probably not the last place we'll live. We'll probably because life has changed. I no longer am in that business. I no longer have that clientele. It's not really necessary for me to be in the East anymore. Parents are aging. Might be time to head west. I don't know. That's just the way it is. But that is the answer to your question. And while you guys, if you would, give me some of your answers to those questions, don't forget to put GF in your answers. Let's go over a couple headlines, shall we?
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. Join me, if you will, over here. There are a couple of stories on the Nancy Guthrie case, one on Celeste Rivas Hernandez, this one from abcnews.com, written by Aaron Katursky and Trevor Alt. Additional images recovered from cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home, according to sources. The FBI has recovered additional imagery of cameras at the Arizona home of Nancy Guthrie, the missing mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie. Sources briefed on the investigation told ABC News. The images were recovered in recent weeks, not winks. Javi, can you edit that out in post? Recent weeks from motion-activated cameras trained on the swimming pool, backyard, and side yard, the sources said. The images provided by the FBI February 5th shows a missing person. I think that must have been a caption. Anyway, to continue, investigators were unable to recover video footage, but thumbnail images captured when the cameras were triggered by motion. The cameras recorded nothing suspicious, the sources said, which is hilarious that they wrote an entire story about nothing. This is the Seinfeld of stories about the Nancy Guthrie case, but I still thought that I'd bring it to you. They were able to get more thumbnail images, but nothing suspicious were on those images. Also on the Nancy Guthrie case, this one from the New York Post. By the way, links to every article that we've talked about today are in the description below. Written by Alex Oliveira in the New York Post. FBI agents on Nancy Guthrie case are zeroing in on 2 dates, days before she was abducted. And I think they got this from Brian Enton, so we should credit him. Investigators searching for Nancy Guthrie are reportedly zeroing in on evidence from 2 specific dates in the days before she vanished. suggesting her kidnappers may have been casing out her Arizona home for weeks before the crime. The FBI has been asking the 84-year-old's Tucson neighbors for any home security footage that they may have from January 11th and January 24th, News Nation's Brian Enton reported. Glad they gave him that credit. Agents were adamant about those dates as they spoke with neighbors about the disappearance and even watched over shoulders as the neighbors scanned through their archives for the footage, according to Enton. Nancy vanished from her home February 1st, with investigators' interest in January 11th and 24th suggesting her captors may have been in the neighborhood at least twice before the kidnapping. The news also suggests that the FBI is retracing the steps of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, which is accused, I don't like that. Accused by whom? Not by other law enforcement, but whatever, which is accused of botching the investigation. I think, in fairness, a lot of people are saying that, but accused by whom? Tell us by whom. Goodness sake. So that is our update on Nancy Guthrie. And then this one, of all places, I found it on iHeart. Written by Tony M. Centeno on the show On the Move with Enrique Santos, which I think is a morning show or radio show. A former friend of David's, also known as David Anthony Burke, referred to Celeste Rivas Hernandez as a victim while the investigation into her death continues. In an Instagram story he shared on Saturday, March 14th, goodness sakes, Gavin, come on. Neo Langston gave some insight into his silence as authorities continue to figure out what caused Celeste's death. Quote, I understand due to my silence and the silence in general, it leave a void of information that everyone wants to fill, he wrote. But at the end of the day, this case isn't about me. It isn't about you. It's about getting justice for the victim, dun dun dun, victim and her family. I'm just going to bring up a photo of Celeste here real quick. Quote, continuing the quote, I care a lot more about that than trying. Wow, come on, guys, get an editor, please. Than trying to fill that void because of public opinion. Obviously wasn't doing my part at first, but now I am, he continued. Continuing the quote, I've stayed loyal to my mindset, and I will continue to. I'm not publicly going to give any opinion or emotion about this case because I find it disrespectful and not my place to weigh in on it, especially as it's still ongoing. You know what I find disrespectful? Being subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury and not showing up and leaving the state. I find that disrespectful. But okay, I'm not gonna spam post to justify and perform my feelings and thoughts for the internet, trying to satisfy people who have already made up their minds about me. In time, the record will speak for itself, and I'm moving on with my life. Well, I'm glad that you can move on with your life, because there is a little girl who cannot, a 15-year-old, well, a 14-year-old, who cannot move on with her life. Her life is not move-onable, sir. Langston is the first person on David's side to publicly call the 15-year-old girl a victim. He shared his statement after he spoke out about the case in his close friends on Instagram. In the story he posted Friday, Langston, who was close with David until recently, said he was, quote, legally fine in every way, close quote, and even called the singer, a naughty word. Very unkind. Quote, I told so many people that I trust and I thought knew me as a person, my side of things, all for that to be thrown out the effing window as soon as I get arrested and they slap that D-head's name next to mine, he wrote. Neil Langston, who's also a popular Twitch streamer, was arrested at his mother's home in Helena, Montana. Blah, blah, blah. We already know that. So Langston was close with David even after Celeste Rivas was discovered in the front trunk of the singer's Tesla back in September. Although the singer hasn't been charged, he's reportedly considered a prime suspect. Prosecutors have been convening with a grand jury since December, where several witnesses, including Langston and David's tour manager, were questioned under oath. The singer's family was also subpoenaed to testify, but they've yet to appear in court. By the way, these quotes from iHeart, I did see the screenshots on X, so I can corroborate that they did indeed exist. So that is what is going on. Those, my friends, are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. You know what I forgot to do is end that poll. 78% watched today. That's pretty crazy. All right. Going through your comments here real quick. Patty says, in the older pictures with Eric, she was actually pretty. Not so much now. Yeah, well, I think they were a beautiful family. I really do. She looked happy there, for sure. She looks happy here with the kiddos and the dog and the fancy dancy little Christmas family photo. But yeah, she just now she just kind of looks like a murderer to me. Let's see. Continuing on. Miss Chivo's Dragon says, I would not buy a famous murder house as my home because I don't want all those ghoulish tourists hanging around all the time. We don't have ghoulish tourists, but we have tourists that a few times a year, there are these architectural tours of our town. And so some days I'll just be like walking out the front door and then find that there's like a crowd on the sidewalk out in front of my house. You're just like, hi, I'm leaving now. Yeah, I get it. That's a good comment. The Bean and I, Gavin, if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars, I'd rather go to Europe or Asia. I don't enjoy artificial environments rather than like Disney World. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying there, Robin. I just also I had happy memories at Disneyland when I was a kid. They're designed to be happy, and they're artificial for sure. But I think you got to go once. Now I'm not the kind that's like, I had a friend, dude, that was at Disneyland all the time. It was crazy. Thunder Maiden, rather see the castles of Scotland. That's pretty great. Emmy, did I see your question? No, I did not. Otherwise, I would have answered it. Mama Bear, hello from Montana? Well, hello from Montana to you as well, Mama Bear. Glad you're here. Just Ducky, live in a house where someone was unalived? No. Hard no. Autumn says, I wish I could have watched, but sadly I have to be an adult and work. Ah, you poor thing. Yeah, adulting is for the birds. It is. Oh, Emmy, you're saying yes, I got your question. It's on the list. Yes, indeed. Here, okay, Emmy's cheating here. Emmy, naughty, tisk, tisk, you're cheating here. Yes, listen, if you sent an email to 3questions@gavinfish.com, the answer is yes, I got it. And I have put your questions on the list. I've had several emails come in saying, test one, Gavin, is this email working? I'm not going to reply to those, okay? Because it's a one-way email address. Yes, it's working. I'm getting the emails. Am I coming off as a jerk here? I'm very sorry. The reason I cover some cases and not others has to do with how many people are interested in the case. That's what it boils down to. There are some cases that are super important to me. Yes, Autumn, this is working. The reason I cover Corey Richins is because is because people are interested in Corey Richins. The reason that, I covered Nancy Guthrie. People are interested in Nancy Guthrie. Madeline Soto. Now, it's not to say that these don't touch me too. They do. But the main reason that I cover them is because people are interested in them. My YouTube channel is not big enough. I don't have enough influence at all. I don't have any influence to cover a case and then people will watch just because I'm covering the case. If I choose a case that people aren't already watching, 14 people will come in and 3 of them are going to be my moderators. So I kind of am a follower on YouTube, right? Are people covering a case? If yes, I will cover the case. So yeah, I did get your question, and but that is the main answer is I cover cases that are already being covered. That's, yeah. And yeah, you're following the Nick Carter case out of Vegas. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. And yep, Emmy breaking a rule. It's okay. We still love you. We still love you. And I am coming across as kind of one of those D heads that Neil Langston brought. I'm sorry. I need to repent. I need to repent. Wanda, do you have any self-flagellation music? Something that I could beat myself with? Okay, maybe you could write it for our next installment. That would be good. That would be good. Because yeah, the other stuff you have just doesn't work for me, right? Do we have any, maybe some, have you guys heard Wanda's Grandkids? Listen to that. This is for when we need a transition right now. We need to get into happy times. Here we go.
Follow the clues in mysteries and crime, looking for answers one step at a time. We learn how the truth can hide out of sight, but we keep smiling still because finding it's right.
Wanda, those are delightful grandkids or children. Grandkids. One of them is a great grandchild. Wow, Wanda, that's amazing. Okay, guys. Oh, hold on. We got one last question coming in from Corey Witchens. What are your predictions for a verdict? My prediction is a pretty quick guilty verdict. That's what I think is going to happen. And Corey Witchens, I'm glad that you found the channel. Thank you for checking in with us. Guys, we will be back tomorrow. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 6:00 p.m. Eastern time, right here on this very channel. Remember that you can always reach out to me on my website, gavinfish.com. There's always a link down in the description below. My website is also just chock full of tons and tons and tons of information on cases that I have been covering. If you click on this little icon right there, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on the Book of Faces. You are always welcome to join us there. While you're on my website, if you would, I would deeply appreciate any support that you can give me. I really appreciate you guys for watching, for sticking to the end, for commenting. I thank you to my members and my patrons. Oh my goodness, becoming a patron is a terrific way to support me. Thank you. Over the weekend, I got a couple of PayPals and a tip jar. Thank you so much. And then you can also buy Autumn a coffee, our lead moderator. She deserves it. And that is how you may support me. But I'm telling you, I am just already grateful for you watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing. You guys are awesome. I will see you tomorrow night. Until then, I bid you adieu. I hope you, each and every one, will take care of yourselves until then. Good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.